right, so today is day 6 of the job. Oh, am I muted? You guys hear me? Yeah?
Yeah, you're good.
Okay, cool. All right, so today is day 6 of the Java stack. Monday, week 2. This is the morning session. So we are going to be getting into the CRUD this week. So basically the Python students are doing the exact same thing we're doing, right? Except they're doing it in Python. So today we're going to talk about session and forms. So does anybody remember what we used session for? I mean, we use it for a lot of things, but what was the primary use of session in Python?
To keep the code there, session to store.
To store, yeah. Do we want to store it? So the session is basically we're storing user, or I'm sorry, we're storing data on the browser for to be simplistic about it, right? But when we had our full CRUD application, and we had our login and reg, right? What did we use session for in login and reg? To check if they're signed in, right? So basically, we used session. If we had a user in session, then they were logged in, right? If they weren't in session, then they weren't logged in. So we're going to do the same thing in Java. Session is basically, I mean, we're going to use, initially we're going to use it because we don't have databases yet, right? But essentially, when we log a user in, when we register a user, we're going to put their ID in session, right? That's how we're going to know which user signed in. If we need to have a user make something, we're going to check, okay, their session or their ID is 5 because that's the ID that's stored in session. So if they create a book or create a recipe or create a ninja or whatever, right? It's going to be their ninja, their book, right? Because they're the one that signed in. Okay, so what else did I have to say? I think that's it in terms of schedule. I guess so we'll talk about the there are a lot of practice assignments, right? We don't have, so we have a core assignment today, which is Omakuchi Forms. I think I'm saying that right. Omakuchi Forms. This is basically sort of the introduction to using forms in Java. Everything else is practice until we get to Save Travels. I implore you, please do the practice assignments. Don't just jump through to Save Travels, okay? The practice assignments build up slowly what you're going to need for Save Travels. If you just jump to Save Travels right now, you're going to be lost. So please take baby steps, go through everything. Yeah, so the books API, rendering books, all that stuff is basically building up to Save Travels. All right. So today, Java, Spring, day 6, today's assignments. Again, the only core assignment is the Omakuchi Forms. The counter, again, is pretty much identical to the counter assignment in Python. And the Ninja Gold game is completely identical. The only thing that's different is I can't remember what the forms assignment. I think it was like you picked a language and a boot camp or something like that. So same basic principle. All right, so session in Spring. It's a little bit more complicated than it was in Python, but not terribly complicated, right? So anything we have that we want to use in Java or Spring, we need to say what it is, right? And then we name our variable, right? So variable, we're calling it session. Doesn't matter. You can call it anything. Yeah, you're right. Survey. Yeah. So we're naming it session, and it's an HTTP session object. Okay, and that allows us to store data inside of session, which will be available anywhere in our application. So if once I have my session object, I can call the method set attribute, then I set name to Tyler. Same thing if I want to set ID to 1 or last name, I can put all that data in session, just like we did in Python. We want to minimize our database calls, right? Hitting our database is expensive in terms of time and operations, so we want to minimize that. So when a user signs up or signs in, just put their first last name ID in session, and then we know who's logged in. All right. Okay, let's do a demo.